Welcome to the Warnes Way, Andrew. Thank you so much for coming on.
Great pleasure, Jack.
I was about to say Mr. Bassat.
Yeah, you can call me Andrew, GK, whatever you want, mate. Yeah.
All right. No. All good. But no, thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to start with the first thing because we've got something in common. We've got obviously the Saints and poker and golf, but we both went to the same school. Both went to Brighton Grammar. Do you remember what year you finished?
I think it was 83. It's a long time ago. I'm a bit older than you, mate. So
1993 or 83?
83, I think. Yeah.
1983. Do you stay in contact with anybody from school?
A few people, not a lot. It was a while ago. My school, the school didn't really like me very much. I didn't like the school, so it was a mutual thing.
Oh, really? Did you just school wasn't for you?
I had a scholarship, so I couldn't leave without getting thrown out. So I tried my best.
You tried your best to get thrown out?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I failed that.
Yeah. How long were you at Brighton Grammar for?
I was there all the way through, so I finished VC in Brighton Grammar. I went there in grade 4.
Oh, so
I was there for 9 years, yeah.
Did you grow up in Brighton as well?
No, we grew up in Bentley, then we moved to Brighton. I would have been about 10 or 11 or something.
Yeah.
So I used to ride my bike to school, and there were some good moments, but the headmaster wasn't much top at the time. So
you wouldn't have... So my earliest memories of Brighton Grammar, do you remember Mr. Irwin?
Yeah.
I had Mr. Irwin. He was like
Irwin was after me. Irwin was after me. Yeah, there was visitors.
Yeah, Mr. Irwin and then sort of Mr. Featherstone.
Ross Featherstone was he was afterwards. I met him. He's a good bloke, Ross.
Yeah,
Irwin was a good bloke as well.
Yeah.
We had Robert Rofe. He and I didn't quite see.
Did you have Robert Rofe as
he was that. I was in his office a lot.
No way. Yeah. So I remember the school houses. Obviously, that was one of the houses named after him.
Oh, okay.
It was Dixon
wasn't
School, Rofe, Crowther, Hancock. I think that's all of them.
I had Armstrong. We had Armstrong.
I had Armstrong. So they're the 6. And so you had Robert Rofe.
We had
I'm assuming
Rofe
that's
all the way through.
So I'm assuming Rofe House is named after him.
Yeah, that'd be it.
But I used to, whenever I walked into school, I used to see your name, Andrew Bassat.
There we go.
On one of the boards. Do you sort of pay much credit to what you've sort of been able to do in your sort of career with Seek and Saints to school, or did you sort of...
Oh, no, to the extent I didn't get on well at the school, it was probably partly my fault. I never heard anything which didn't help. Yeah. I was poorly behaved, which didn't help. So I spent most of my school years battling the teachers.
Yeah.
And most of my time outside class rather than inside class. So I wouldn't look back in school and say, probably taught me resilience. Yeah. Some teachers I really respected and I got a bit from. But I'm not sure how much school actually changed me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, well, it's funny because I was actually talking to the Hig on this podcast, Jack Higgins, and we both were talking about school, and he sort of said from a young age he sort of knew school wasn't for him.
Yeah.
And we sort of were talking for a while because so much has changed in the last 100 years. There's been new technology, new ways to work, online, all these different things, but school has never changed. It's always been the same thing. You wake up, you do your 6-7 hours at school, then your homework, your 4 or 5 subjects, whatever it is, 5 days a week for probably 40 weeks of the year. It's been the only thing that's never changed.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think probably because it's a personality-driven industry, it's changed in terms of how much you learn from technology versus how much you learn without technology, of course. But people who have enjoyed school tend to have really strong connections with people that they felt made a big difference to their lives and taught them a lot. And so some people have been fortunate to have that, other people perhaps have not.
You know, from when I was at school, I reckon it would have been maybe when I was sort of a late teenager. I liked school, but I knew it wasn't going to be sort of for me.
For you.
Like I knew all the subjects I was learning and what I was listening to and what I was doing. I just knew I wasn't going to sort of use it in real life.
You were well behaved at school, I gather.
I think so.
And well liked. So you had that.
Yeah,
so you probably enjoyed
so.
your school experience overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never like the class clown or the smartest person in the room. I was always just really quiet, patient. I probably didn't do enough homework as I should have.
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
You can never go back. I think we'll be okay. One thing that I've sort of really appreciate from school is just always being able to be around people you like. That's probably the one thing I'd miss from school is because you sort of go into the real world.
You've got the routine and you've got you see people every day. And
Now, I'd love to talk to you about, obviously, the Saints presidency.
Yep.
How do you think we're sort of going at the moment?
Yeah, look, it's tough. You know, I'm in a suit because I was at the AFL Commission today and dealing with the president's meeting. No,
I'm
beautiful.
a bit underdressed.
You see me in a suit about twice a year and that was today. Oh, look, we're building. It's tough. It's a tough competition. There's 18 clubs and we don't have natural advantages. And I think, if you go back not too just far, we're a long, long way off it. And we're really working hard. We've got a good group of people at the club now that are trying to rebuild. I think we've got a very good coach in Ross Lyon. We've got a good CEO. We've got a good head of football. We're starting to get the talent we need. Probably that's our biggest single issue. Yeah. So we're getting there. And
you've been a Saints fan your whole life.
Oh, my whole life, mate. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. There's no legitimate reason to be on a board except you love the club and you want to help. And that's where I got to. I sort of was convinced I could help. Yeah. And so for me, it's got a real sense of mission around the fact that we haven't had success. I was born in 1966. I was a very advanced baby, but at 6 months I wasn't able to really fully appreciate our 190 premiership. So for me, it's all about trying to put us on a path to get that second premiership, and that's what it's all about.
Well, that was like Dad. He was born in 1969, so he just missed the premiership when he was born. But he always used to joke, like he was just hoping he'd get to see one more in his life, and then we got so close.
And that's, to be honest, my job is just for myself and really all those people who really love the club to try to deliver that second flag. That's what it's all about.
Had you, whenever you were a kid or growing up, even in your late 20s or 30s, when you were running Seek and all of your other businesses, would have you ever thought you wanted to be the St Kilda president one day?
Oh, not really. I wanted to be a player, but unlike your dad, I didn't have the talent. So I wouldn't have, somebody actually asked me, was it your lifelong dream to be St Kilda president? I'm shit. No, I wanted to be a playwright, but I wasn't good enough. But it's a nice fallback though, So it's actually nice to be involved. I wasn't good enough as an elite sportsman to be involved in a club, but I feel part of it now. We're a bit different role. There's a very nice shared sense of purpose around trying to achieve what we just talked about. So I'm enjoying it.
So when you say you wanted to be an AFL player, were you, when you were growing up at school or at club, were you playing footy as well?
I actually ended up playing more rugby than football.
More rugby.
And I enjoyed rugby, but I wasn't up to elite standard, but I played a lot of rugby. I played rugby into my in my late 40s actually. So
really?
I enjoyed sport, but at a pretty average level.
So when you were playing in your late 30s, was it touch rugby or
no? I was playing tackle rugby. I was playing tackle in my late 40s actually. So
wow.
I still kept my speed, but
never broke any bones or injuries.
Oh, I've had both shoulders operated on. But rugby, compared to football, you see the collision coming. Yeah. And certainly when I played as an old guy, I was a bit more circumspect than I was as a young guy, so I was a bit more careful.
Yeah, because I know with footy, so many people, we've got good friends like Bakes and Hamill, they've all got injuries all over their body. And apparently with AFL, it's one of the most injury-prone sports because you're running, you're jumping, you're marking, you're tackling. Would you find players now are getting more injured in AFL compared to other sports?
There's some things have come out. So I think the fact they're stamping down on things that cause concussion is probably a good thing. And the game's moving so fast now, you probably get less collisions per game than you might have used to get. But because people come from all directions and people are moving so fast that, that's what I found with football, that you'd get hit from behind, you get hit from the sides, you wouldn't see it coming. Whereas rugby, they're always coming from in front of you. You can prepare yourself a bit.
Do you know if there's many injuries in like a sport where they do wear a helmet, like an NFL or an ice hockey? Do you know if there's many concussions compared to AFL in those sports?
I think AFL is right up there.
Yeah.
Right up there for concussions. And I think that's probably coming down a little bit. But just the nature of the game, it's right up there.
What would like your day-to-day be like as the St Kilda president of like an AFL club? Do you spend much time at the club or?
You got to get the balance right because it's probably when I started, to be honest, I was not involved enough. I was probably just delegating too much. And we made a bunch of mistakes that I got to take responsibility for, but I should have been closer to it. I'm now possibly at risk of being over-involved and just getting into things I shouldn't. And I've got to, it's all about finding the passion, finding the balance. But I think, part of it's the governance and part of it's making the decisions on who the right coach is, who the right CEOs, etc. But then I think where you are as a football club, it's so hard what we're trying to do with such scarce resource. But I think the mindset I've got, the mindset of the board is we're just trying to help. Yeah. And so there's a bunch of things we can get involved in now. And as I mentioned before, one of those things is fighting the AFL to make sure the playing field's a bit more level. Supporting the coach where I can, generally supporting the club and helping where I can. It takes a fair bit of time.
And I think that just shows that you're passionate because some presidents, they might not be as outspoken or as out vocal, but I think that just shows you're passionate about your club and you want to protect your players and protect. It's just passionate.
I can get criticised for plenty of things, including my judgment on some things, but passion's never been one of them. So I love the club and I really want to make it work. And so I'm all in on that for sure. So
how did it start? Because you were president, was it the start of 2019 or 18?
No, I started, I'm trying to remember. Gee, I'm not very good with years. I think this is my 6th or 7th year, so that's about right,
okay. How did you sort of, one, get that opportunity, and two, had you been thinking about it for a while?
Oh, no, not really. I'd been on the board for 5 minutes under Rod Butters, and there was a bit of a coup, and it was such a mess that I decided I would never go back to a football club. Matt Finnis spent probably a year persuading me that I could help on the board and encourage me to do that, and I was somewhat reluctant. And then even to be president, Matt and the president at the time, Peter Summers, who encouraged me to step forward, is one of those things which said, step forward, three steps forward if you want to be president. Everyone else stepped back 3 steps, and I found myself standing there. So, look, I was reluctant, but I've enjoyed it because I feel as president you can make a difference. And I feel we've now got a group of people that have got a really strong shared sense of purpose, have got real urgency, are really trying to do the right thing by our football club, by our members, and so I'm enjoying it.
Well, I know as a fan and as a member and somebody that's known you for a long time, and especially with Dad and seeing how passionate he was with the Saints, like I feel this is the first time in quite a while that we're actually sort of going like this, and that everybody's really proud.
I genuinely feel like that. We're genuinely fighting the fight. So you've got people like Ross Lyon, you've got a bunch of people around the football club, you've got a bunch of the players who only want success and are absolutely determined to drive it, who know what it takes and are doing the hard work. So I think what's happening behind the scenes is we are working really hard, and we've done a bunch of things that are not obvious. We've got on the draft for 4 years. We've been getting games into young players. We've really rebuilt the program. And all those things are the building blocks to give you a chance for success. We're putting them in place, and I think we're not too far away.
And you've got one of I think since I've been alive, one of our best teams is obviously like the 2009, 10, 11 team where we had Nick Rewalt, Lenny Hayes, all of these stars, and now some of them have actually come back to the club as assistant coaches, as coaches. Do the younger players really appreciate having those type of players?
Yeah, it's been really nice because there's a specialness about St Kilda. There's a specialness in our fans that, and I loved actually talking football with your dad. And I missed a lot of things, but I missed a text after his game, some good, some bad. But, we've got a really passionate fan base that hasn't been nourished by success. So it's a special breed of fan that stays loyal and stays committed despite the fact that we aren't exactly winning regular fans. And I think, there's people like Rob Harvey and Lenny Hayes and, Brendan Goddard really understand that. And even Ross Lyon had a stint at St Kilda and really has become a St Kilda person. Yep. There's that tradition that we want to draw from, that uniqueness that St Kilda has and St Kilda fans have, but we also want to write our own history. So we're trying to get the balance right between taking what's good from our past, but turning into a much more successful future.
Yeah. No, well, I've got complete faith you'll be able to do that, Mr.
Thanks,
Bassat.
mate. We're definitely working hard.
No, I've got no doubt.
And love your support. So I look forward to sharing our second flag with you, mate.
Or hopefully in our lifetimes, but I'm sure we'll be able to.
You got a bit longer than I have. Yeah.
I know. Now, you mentioned Dad before. You used to love talking to him about Saints. How did you meet Dad for the first time? Did you meet him through sport, or did you meet him?
I met Dad your dad at a wedding, and I was trying to remember when it was. It would have been about, I was at your dad's 40th. It would have been about 17, 18 years ago.
40, so
at a wedding in
2009.
Europe. Yeah, about then, a wedding in Europe, and we were chatting on a boat actually, and we discovered that we both loved poker, and he said to me, he took my number and said, when we get back to Melbourne, I'll invite you to a game. And 19 times out of 20 when that happens, there's no follow-up. But this time a week or two, I got back and I got a text saying, do you want to come for a game? So we started playing poker together, and then I was involved with his board and for other things. But I loved your dad, and I really enjoyed the relationship.
No, he always spoke so highly of you, and I know how much you guys used to love talking about footy, business, everything. You're both so passionate about the Saints. But another thing was golf. Did you guys play much golf together?
Yeah, I played a bit of golf together. It was slightly, the difference between an elite sportsman and a never was sportsman is a bit different. So I think your dad had me well covered. We played a bit of golf together. Played a lot of poker together, as you know.
Yeah.
You were at the table taking my money as often as not.
I'll try to, but that's sort of one of my earliest memories I've got with you is sort of around the poker table, because that's one thing. One thing I think people misunderstand about poker is they sort of deem it as it's really gambling, or it's, you're playing in just weird environments. But like how Dad used to have it with his friends and yourself, it's actually really fun. And it's really, really social. And my earliest memories with you is just always messy stack, hiding the biggest chips with the smaller chips. Sort of, there's a really good photo of you. I think it was one year at the Aussie Millions, where I think you were coming chip leader or second in chips, and you've just got all of these chips in front of you with no stacks, no values of whatever it is. It's just there.
Your dad actually knocked me out of an Aussie Millions, by the way.
Did he? Was that in 2020?
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was, but we found ourselves on the same table.
Yeah.
A woman I was fairly sure I could shove off her hand, pretty much puts a lot of her stack in. I go all in with pretty much a bluff. And then your dad looks at his cards, he looks at me, and he's feeling sick because he doesn't want to go in on top of me because one of us is knocked out. But he's got king.
Yeah.
So I sort of, he looks at me, I sort of nod my head, and he puts his chips in and knocks me out. But I love playing with your dad. And you're right, it was a lot of fun, those games. Yeah. You underestimate yourself. You used to worry me. I don't know. I think you've always been a very good player. Probably because you were a kid when we started playing. I was probably kept underestimating you and kept losing my money to you. But your dad actually, because it was some serious players in there, including your dad, of course, Joe Hasham, some others that could really play. But everyone was friendly. It was a really nice mix. It was fun. And also people would help each other. And probably the hand I refer to, which is the most influential I've ever played in terms of becoming still an average poker player, but better than I was at my house actually. And I was playing your dad. I had ace king. It would bore the non-poker players. I raise, your dad calls. Flop comes 10-10-4. I think I'm probably still ahead. I put in a decent bet. Your dad goes all in. And then he shows his cards and he's got 6-7. And I'm like, what the F are you doing, mate? Yeah. And he basically said, I know the way you play. And there's no way if you've got a 10 that you bet, or if you've got an overpair, you bet as much as you did.
So he knew you're bluffing.
Put his whole, so I learned it's not about the cards I've got, it's what they think I've got. Yeah. And he really, really was very influential for me.
Well, that's like, it's sort of, especially in Texas Hold'em, your two cards that you've got don't actually matter unless you're going to showdown where you actually have to show your cards. Because in theory, you can sort of be telling the story and representing any two cards at any time.
Right. And that's what I learned through your dad.
Yeah, you can be raising on the button or re-raising your big blinds, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter unless you go to showdown.
That's right.
And what he said is exactly very true about picking up on the players. And there was actually a time where we were playing on the APT where he was always really good at sort of picking up on people's tells. And he just always loved being the loudest on the table. He'd always bring his iPad, be watching the footy, trying to annoy everybody else, make him angry. But they always thought he was sort of distracted or not really concentrating. But that was sort of like a decoy where he was actually paying a lot of attention to the players while making it look like he wasn't paying attention by watching the footy, and to be able to picking up on people's tells, the way they play with their chips, if they look at their cards 2 or 3 times before making a bet. And he would remember all this because he loved the psychological battle of sport, whether it be on the cricket pitch, golf, poker. Like, he loved the psychological effect.
Yeah, I know. He had me well covered on that because it was, they talk about playing the man, not the cards, right? Which we just covered. And your dad played the man beautifully.
Yeah, well,
he had very good judge. He understood people. He really did understand people and understood what made them tick and also their vulnerabilities. So,
no, he was a very good sort of judge of character and sort of could identify things really, really quickly.
Yeah. And I slipped through the net, but otherwise I agree with you.
Yeah. No, but talking back to Dad, you were involved with the Shane Warne Foundation as well. You're on the board. Were you on the board from when it started until when it finished?
Not from when it started. I can't remember exactly when it started, but it was well and truly up and running when I joined the board, and I was really flattered to be asked by your dad. And one of the things your dad opened himself up in layers to me, and I sort of got to know him better and better over time. And everything I saw, I really loved. But his genuine commitment to the charity was extraordinary. And so I started off attending some of the events, and really everyone that turned up to these events, your dad had called and pushed and cajoled. He worked so hard to make these events work and the charity work, and he spent so much time looking out for the kids and just generally trying to help that. Once he asked me to join, it was hard not to.
Yeah.
So I loved doing that with your dad, and it was very sad. He sort of got hounded out of it by the media, which was really dramatically unfair.
Yeah.
And I still hold a grudge over that, and I still feel for your dad over that because I know how hard he worked.
Well, what Dad was doing, he was raising a lot, like millions of dollars for sick and underprivileged children, going all around Australia and the world to help people and to help kids. That's more than, that's all he wanted to do was help people. And he was so generous with his time and energy, everything. Like, I've never seen somebody be so generous and outgoing just to help people. And for there to be a few journalists and media to be able to bring that foundation down because they were investigating something and sort of made nothing out. They turned something into nothing. There was nothing there to be investigated, or he was never doing anything dodgy.
There was nothing there. That was the awful thing. There was absolutely nothing there. There was one journalist in particular kept repeating the claims.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. It was investigated by Consumer Affairs, investigated by multiple bodies. The reality was it's really hard with an events-based charity. It got harder to make money. The amount that we were spending was the same. So therefore the proportion of the total revenue that was being spent went up.
Yeah.
the problem is clickbait, right? So you write an article about Shane Warne that attracts clicks.
Yep.
So you write the same article again, you write the same article the third time. It's one time I've seen your dad upset actually because he worked so hard to be copying these allegations was so unfair that it was really, mostly it was water off a duck's back when he got criticism. On this issue, it hurt him.
And it got to a point with Dad where he would be, because I spend every morning looking up Shane Warne News. I always do it. And it got to a point where I'd see an article about Dad and I'd just be like, oh, what's this article? And be like, what's the title? And I'd say whatever the title is. And it got to a point where it didn't even matter what was in the article because people would just believe the title nowadays.
No, there's no smoke without fire. In this case, there was none. It was bullshit. Yeah. It was very bad. It was very hurtful. That really upset me. And I can only imagine the impact it had on the family. Yeah.
Well, I still have got contact and still talk to people, that kids and the children that Dad had helped. Like there's so many good stories that from when Dad either gave him a cricket ball or a photo or a signed autograph, whatever it is, those kids still remember and they've got such vivid memories of it and they pretty much say that Dad saved their life. Yeah. And so to be able to sort of on the back of the foundation now have the legacy, which is actually helping people as well with heart health, spreading awareness. Like I think we've managed to turn a negative situation into a positive, but there's still so many negative articles still going around.
Look, he would have been incredibly proud of what you're doing at the Heart Foundation, by the way. And I think what Shane said to me a couple of times, other than his kids, who, as you know, is incredibly proud of and put a lot into what you all is the charity was the thing he was proudest of in his life. Yeah. And he did put his all into it. And so the fact that you kids are doing, you're all doing the same now and trying to make sure that what happened to Shane, unfortunately, doesn't happen to others, was just a remarkable way of responding to an awful tragedy. He would have been very proud of you.
No, well, thank you, Andrew. We definitely knew we were sort of onto something with the heart checks because I can't take any credit for it. I didn't come up with the idea. But in the first few months after people sort of were after Dad had passed away and people were going to the hospitals and GPs, they were getting their hearts checked and people asking, or the doctor saying, why are you getting your heart checked? And he'd say, or she would say, well, because Shane Warne passed away of a heart attack. So they said a handful of cases of people that actually got those checks and then had to get stents or further testing, they said Shane Warne saved their life and they came up with the halo effect. And so that's when we sort of heard that and we knew there was something to do with heart and to help people.
It's a perfect legacy, and well done again, mate.
Yeah, but I can't.
Well,
take any...
I know you're involved. I know there's a lot of other people, but it's beautiful legacy.
Yeah, no, thank you. A lot of the people that were working at the foundation still work with the legacy, you know, H and Neo. Yeah. You know Neo quite well.
Beautiful people doing a beautiful job, yeah.
It's really cool. We've got over 300,000 total checks in nearly 2 years.
It's remarkable, yeah. And a lot would go on to referrals and get proper checks, yeah.
Was there any, so talking about Dad and legacy, was there any sort of, because I know you and Dad used to talk a lot about a lot of different things, was there sort of any advice he had given you that you've sort of taken from him and then used for either your colleagues or family at St Kilda Club?
Your dad just had a really nice outlook on life. He didn't overcomplicate anything, your dad. I tend to overcomplicate everything. Your dad was who he was, and he had a very nice philosophy on life. What was important to him and his family was first on the list, and his friendships and the football and his golf and his poker, and he just threw himself all into all of them.
Yeah.
And I tend to run around and I'm overthinking everything. I learned a lot from your dad. I really enjoyed spending time with him.
Yeah. And would you say you spent most of your time with him, whether it be at the poker table, on golf, or at Saints games?
Mostly poker table. Mostly poker table. We had one beautiful night, actually, when I was, I remember it when I came in when I was on my way to a game. I think it was Richmond. It would have been a year, maybe not the year, but maybe 2 years before he passed. And I was on my way. He texted me and I'm on my way to the game. I was caught up in traffic. And he said he was watching here on his own. Why didn't I come with him instead? And, the traffic was terrible and I didn't have any functions, so I did a U-turn. And gee, he understood the game. Yeah. It was really nice. We had a nice win as well.
Yeah.
But he really understood the game. But it was mostly poker.
Yeah.
And, of course, his foundation.
Yeah, that's one thing I really miss with Dad was just his insight into sport. And now it could be about AFL, cricket, golf, like literally any sport would be watching with him and he could nearly predict what was about to happen. And that happened so many times in so many different sports. He could say, no, that golfer's about to do this and this is going to happen, or this is what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes with the footy, with what players and got a kick wherever. Yeah. He just had such good insight and knowledge of all the sports.
Well, yeah, and I mean, cricket, obviously, unsurprisingly, was a wonderfully well-received commentator, and some of the acts of prophecy are now famous. But yeah, he understood football, and I think even it's a shame he was never Australian captain because he should have been. I remember one night, I think it was over a poker table, he was explaining how he took the Royals to their first, to their whatever you want to flag as championship. They were the rank outsiders, right?
Well, in that year, so the history with Dad and the Australian captaincy, there was obviously lots of politics. They didn't sort of like his media presence or his reputation. There's a bit, party boy or whatever, and it wasn't like the perfect suit for the Australian captaincy.
Yeah.
But he won all the players' votes, he won all the coaches' votes, and it was the first time ever that they, you win both those votes and you're not the captain.
No, and he was essentially the reputation versus the reality of Shane versus the reputation. He was highly likeable, extremely loyal, fought. I can understand why his teammates loved him.
Yeah. But going back to the 2008 IPL season, so every team that Dad captained for, they won a premiership or championship. Hampshire, when in England, they won. Yep. The only other one actually was Melbourne Stars, but then he won one at Bush Rangers when he was growing up at his school, Sandy, Mentone Grammar, and then Rajasthan Royals. With the Rajasthan Royals team in 2008, he had just retired. He said he was never going to play cricket ever again. And then this opportunity came up to be captain and coach for Rajasthan Royals. At the time, we were the cheapest team as well, so they didn't have enough money for the extra coaching or the extra players. And Dad managed to captain and coach the youngest and cheapest team, losing, I think they lost the first 2 or 3 games, and then they went on to win the championship. And all of the players that I've spoken to that played in that team, or I was actually just there in India maybe about a month and a half ago, some of the physios and doctors that were still with Dad's team are still there now. They said that is some of the best 12 months when they were just there ever. They just said the amount of energy and passion he brought to every game. He said he never looked at a game as they were sort of already, or like it was lost until it was over. He always just said, give me the ball, let me win it. The way he was able to motivate and inspire his team, he just brought everybody up.
It's got 2 memories of that. One is, I can't remember what year it was. I was never a massive cricket fan. I probably don't have the patience. I probably more one day. 2020 is more my pace. But there was the series. There was a test series in England. I think Australia lost.
Was it 2005?
Yeah, sounds right. Your dad stood up not just with the ball in that series, as you'd expect him to. He was unbelievably competitive. But he was standing up with the bat, and he was absolutely fighting the tide.
Yeah. With
incredible courage and skill. And I remember that series and thought, gee, there's something really serious there.
Yeah.
And the Royals, I mean, the part you didn't mention, you mentioned all that to me. The part you didn't mention is the fact that they knew they had so little budget that they wouldn't get any of the best international players.
Yep.
And the way that most of the teams were viewing with the internet, there was a first-class, second-class citizens. So the Indian players were the second-class citizens on those teams. And he absolutely said the way we can win is if our Indian players are better than the local players on the other side. And they're absolutely part of the team, and it's all inclusive and it's wonderful. And it really was, he really activated a team energy that the other teams weren't getting.
Well, a lot of the players that played in that team, especially the Indians, it was actually their first ever time playing at a professional senior level. So some of them were 17, 18, 19 years old, just played sort of locally in India for their team, but never at a professional elite level. And so he saw them literally go from boys to men straight away.
Yep.
And he just said their eyes were just lit up. They were just so excited when they get to playing, and they were sort of just in awe playing with Dad. And because when I was there, I actually got to witness it. So I've been there when I was younger, didn't really remember, but like cricket to Indians in India is like a religion. It's everything. It's a religion. They're so passionate about it. Like they look at their Sachin Tendulkars and their Virats like they are literally gods, and they are to them, because I've seen so many videos and photos of when Indians, especially now when they're growing up, they've got TVs through restaurants and on shops, and there's thousands of people all on the streets just watching it because they don't have the access to watch it at home. So one of the biggest things that brings them joy is cricket, and especially Dad and Sachin.
Yeah. I tried to do a deal in India once. I thought of your dad because we had like an 8-hour meeting. I swear the guy spent 5 hours talking about cricket.
Yeah.
I didn't get anywhere near a deal, but I thought if I'd brought your dad with me, we would have signed a deal in 5 minutes and been done with it. But they love their cricket over there.
Did that ever happen? Did you get to go with Dad to India?
No, I never went to him with India. It was a shame. But we talked about it at one point, but no, it never happened. Would have been wonderful because he had a very different experience to India than I would have had.
Yeah. No, when we went there, we went to Rajasthan, Agra, and
Agra's amazing. Yeah.
Agra's awesome. That's where the Taj Mahal.
How old were you?
I went when I was very little, but then I went about 6-7 weeks ago.
Okay.
Just really recently.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Which, wow. It was really, really cool.
You would have had some contacts over there, yeah.
Yeah, had some contacts. We were lucky that we had someone go over with us that was born in India, lived in India, then has lived in Melbourne the last 15, 16 years. So he was managing sort of the security and where to go and sort of translating everything for us. But yeah, Indians, they're very sort of respectful and welcoming and accommodating.
I've only been once, but I loved it. Yeah, I'd love to go back again. Yeah.
What year did you go?
Oh, jeez, I can't remember. I can barely remember what year it is this year, mate. So I think it would have been about, it would have been 15, 20 years ago. So it would have been a long time ago. It was after I knew your dad, but it was early, so probably 15 years ago, mate.
When you are all done and dusted and you've won St Kilda a flag and you're like, all right, done my job, we've got the flag. Do you reckon you'll ever go and play in sort of the World Series?
I'd love. It's on my list. I think St Kilda flag's ahead of it.
St Kilda flag,
a World Series bracelet's on my list as well. So yeah, maybe that'll be next after the flag. If
you could pick St Kilda Premiership or World Series main event trophy,
100% St Kilda Premiership, mate.
St Kilda Premiership,
yeah, 100%. That's a lot of people. The poker is wonderful, but it's an individual goal.
Yeah.
Whereas just the team, and the shared camaraderie of winning a flag.
Yeah.
With the team and with all the fans, that'd be special.
Is there similarities where when you've started Seek and it's going really well, is there similarities with that also being in the St Kilda club? Like when you're doing really well, the camaraderie.
Yeah, you've got that, and I think there's a momentum you get from a shared sense of purpose and energy and clarity of strategy and vision, all those sorts of things that then you start to build, and then things get easier. I kind of seen some parallels now with the football club that I saw. Been lucky to have seen both success and failure.
Yeah,
some of the early signals of success. I'm starting to feel it coming forward at St Kilda. I'm feeling that momentum building. I'm feeling that we really are all on the same page. I'm seeing people working hard with commitment. I'm seeing people trusting each other in the various roles. They're all the things you need for success. So it feels like we're starting to get closer.
Do you think it helps as well that all of the boys now that are like playing really well are all at a very similar age? So they're sort of going through it at the same time?
Yeah, I think there's two different elements. One is the off-field, and when I say off-field, I mean both the coaches as well as the people, the football as well as the admin are really united and strong. Then you get the biggest single issue for us, which is why we're fighting the AFL, is access to talent.
Yeah.
We made a mistake going back 5-6 years of just trading when we weren't ready, using our salary cap when we weren't ready. We've now gone back to 4 years of drafting, and we've drafted pretty well, all the way back to the Nasai Wanganeen Malera draft. We've got Machida, Owens, Windhager, subsequently Filippo, Wilson, and a bunch of Travaglia, Toru, etc. That's a solid group of young talent. We've still got some really strong older players. That gives us a chance to build on, which is why we're starting to think of free agents. Another thing, that's a base that gives you a chance.
Yep.
We needed to invest those 4 years to give us the base.
Yeah, it's awesome seeing sort of so many younger players now play with sort of such confidence that they're a part of a team and they're winning. And I just think Mitch Owens as well, and they're all Naz, they're all doing so well. And in the next 3-4 years, I think we'll be like a really, really strong side.
We need them to come on. We need to get some of those guys, Mitch Owens, Filippo, those sorts of guys. Toru's really exciting, Travaglia, so on. We need 1 or 2 A-graders who emerge from that group. It's hard to win a flag without 3 or 4 A-graders. But, they've got some real talent. And Mitch, actually, I'm going to talk about Mitch because somebody said the other day, and he's a good friend of mine, good friend of yours, and also, of course, your dad's Aaron Hamill.
Yes.
Somebody said the player that most reminds Mitch of is Aaron. And that's a nice compliment. That's I can see why that was said, yeah.
That's a great compliment. That shows
that hardness,
that grit. That sort of relentless attitude to sort of go for any ball,
win every contest.
By
the way, I played tennis weekly with Aaron, and he's still got that. He's still got that relentlessness. Yeah. So unfortunately, on the other side,
he doesn't have a second serve though.
He doesn't have a second serve, but he's got a. He does you right. That's his weakness.
Yeah, the first serve will go in, and if it goes in, it's probably an ace. It's just such a good serve. But the second serve. It's like one of those pancake serves that you can,
I'm not quite good enough to put it away though, so I can't take advantage of it. Yeah.
Do you play at your place?
Yeah, play at my place a bit in Palesfair, but he plays in the other team, unfortunately. So a lot of arguing during the game, but we're all friends afterwards.
Yeah.
There's competitive base still.
Well, I feel like that competitive, like it's so important. Like I think you have to be competitive in sort of every metric of life, whether it be business or sport, anything. I think when you're competing with somebody else or yourself, you always strive to be a bit better.
Yeah, I think so. I think people who win usually have that competitive streak. Your dad clearly had it. Aaron has it. You've got it in your own way. I think people have. You kind of need that.
It's definitely a driver to sort of want to be better. And I always remember Dad saying, if you're going to do something, do it properly and be the best at it. So that's hopefully what I'm doing with this podcast. Hopefully what we're doing with the legacy. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on, Andrew.
Great pleasure, mate. No. And thank you. Good job. And hopefully we'll have a win on Thursday.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.